All right, welcome to this explainer. Have you ever wondered if comic books might actually be a lot closer to reality than we think? Well, after diving deep into the latest scientific reports from the world's leading geneticists, I found something truly unbelievable. We're talking about real, documented mutations already existing in human DNA that are literally giving everyday people actual superpowers. And today, we're going to lay out the ultimate human superpower blueprint. Throughout this explainer, we're going to build a hypothetical person. Let's just call him Keith, okay? And we're going to scientifically engineer him. We'll give him every single one of these real-world DNA mutations just to see what kind of biological beast he becomes by the end of it.
But hey, right off the bat, here's what I really want you thinking about as we go through this. Do you have a genetic superpower? You could literally be walking around right now completely oblivious, carrying one of these superhuman traits inside your own body. So, we're going to be doing a series of mutation checks along the way to see if you might just be one of the lucky ones.
Just to set the stakes here, some of the mutations we're about to look at are so incredibly rare that they pop up in roughly 1 in a billion people. But what's absolutely fascinating is that others are surprisingly common. They're just hiding in plain sight in our everyday lives. And yeah, maybe even hiding inside of you.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to start Keith's superhuman upgrade with the MSTN gene mutation. If you're born with this, you essentially have natural, built-in steroids. See, MSTN is responsible for creating a protein called myostatin, which basically acts as a stop signal. It tells your body when to quit building muscle. But a mutation here acts like a giant vacuum, just sucking up all that myostatin. And with no stop signal, it's basically an endless muscle party. This naturally doubles muscle production and strength without you ever having to lift a single weight. In fact, pro strongman Eddie Hall actually has this exact mutation.
Now, you'd probably think a genetic glitch that turns you into a real-life Hercules would come with some pretty serious physical costs, right? Well, wrong. Turns out there are literally zero drawbacks to this one. It is a perfectly clean biological upgrade, making the host superhuman with absolutely no negative side effects whatsoever, which is incredibly lucky for our guy Keith.
All right, let's do our very first mutation check. Statistically speaking, only about 32,248 people in the whole world officially carry this gene. So, ask yourself, do you naturally have increased muscle mass, unusually lower body fat, above average baseline strength, or maybe a history of really early muscle development when you were a kid? Because if you're checking these boxes, you just might be walking around with the MSTN gene mutation.
Let's move on to our next gene and see how this adds to Keith's blueprint. We're talking about the LRP5 gene mutation, and you guys, this basically turns you into Wolverine. This mutation neutralizes your LRP5's ability to tell your body to stop growing bone. The result? Bones that actually show up on X-rays as being 8 times denser than a regular human's. There's this super famous medical case from 1994 of a guy with this mutation who got into a horrific massive car crash. He walked away completely unscathed. I'm talking not so much as a single sprain or fracture.
But unlike our first mutation, this biological upgrade definitely comes with a price, which kind of highlights the harsh reality of extreme genetic adaptations. While you do gain virtually unbreakable bones and total fracture immunity, your skull can actually grow a little too thick, and that can push on your cranial nerves, potentially causing unexplained headaches, audio or visual damage, and a very pronounced blocky square jawline.
So, time for the LRP5 mutation check. We don't actually know exactly how many people globally have this one, but take a second right now. Do you have a notably thicker lower jaw? Can you feel a distinct bony bump or prominence in the roof of your mouth? Do you suffer from unexplained headaches? Or maybe, have you mysteriously never broken a single bone in your entire life, even after taking some pretty nasty falls? If so, you might just have an indestructible skeleton.
Let's give Keith a massive brain upgrade now. Because, physical strength is great and all, but we need him to be a total genius. Enter the Klotho variant, specifically a combo of 2 mutations, F352V and C37OS. This specific heterozygous mutation, which just means you carry a unique combination of gene variants, literally floods human blood with the Klotho protein. This significantly improves cognitive function, enhances the connections between your neurons, and actually reduces brain aging. And as a very welcome bonus, it slightly improves the host's overall lifespan too. It's essentially superintelligence and an anti-aging boost rolled into one neat little genetic package. Now, here's where things get really exciting for you. Unlike those ultra-rare mutations we've been looking at, the Klotho variant is surprisingly common. Looking at this chart, 1 in 5 of you watching this explainer right now, roughly 20% of the population, is carrying this superbrain gene. The catch? It's pretty much impossible to tell physically. The only way to definitively prove you're a long-living genius is to confirm it with a genetic blood test.
Okay, so the crucial point here is that we now have an incredibly smart, super strong, basically unbreakable Keith. But what if he somehow does manage to take damage? Well, this brings us to arguably the coolest and most powerful mutation in this entire explainer, the FAAF and FAAF out genes. Normally, these genes naturally eliminate a chemical called anandamide, which is basically your body's feel-good juice. But a mutation here completely stops that elimination process, so your body just becomes totally saturated with these miracle chemicals. The result? Rapid, almost overnight healing and a totally dampened pain reception. You just don't feel it.
I really cannot overstate how extraordinarily rare this is. Just look at this microscopic number on the screen, 0.000025%. To put that into perspective for you, there are exactly 2 people in the entire world who have ever been officially recorded having this exact combination of both the FAETH and FAETH out gene mutations. It is the literal definition of a 1 in a billion superpower.
But hey, let's run a mutation check anyway, just in case you happen to be person number 3. Carriers of this gene are so saturated in feel-good chemicals that they tend to exhibit a bit of absent-mindedness and an extreme, almost chilling calmness in highly stressful situations. And because they simply don't feel pain the way we do, they often literally have to see or even smell an injury to realize they've actually been hurt. But once they do figure it out, their healing times are remarkably rapid.
Next up, we are giving our test subject Keith a fabulous head of bright red hair. Now, you might be wondering, wait, how is hair color a superpower? Well, the MC1R gene, which is the one responsible for messing with your hair pigments and giving you those ginger locks, actually plays a really significant secondary role in your biology. It simultaneously reduces your natural pain reception. So, redheads quite literally have a built-in natural pain tolerance compared to the average human.
This specific mutation beautifully shows how everyday traits can hold hidden powers, and it's widely distributed across the globe. Depending on the specific variant, roughly 30% of the world's population holds this mutation. That means nearly a third of the world possesses this mild, everyday superpower of pain reduction.
All right, we have one final physical adaptation to give Keith before his blueprint is complete, and this one gives him an ability you usually only find in fish, a natural scuba tank. The PDE10A gene mutation causes an abnormally large spleen. And why does that matter? Because the spleen stores oxygenated red blood cells. So, if you've got a massive spleen, you can store massive amounts of oxygen. This exact mutation is famously found in the Bajaw people of the Philippines, and it literally allows them to dive for hours at a time under the water to hunt and forage.
Time for our final mutation check. Outside of the Bajaw people, where about 1 in 3 individuals carry it, this mutation is quite rare. You definitely need a blood test to be 100% certain, but practically speaking, if you can easily hold your breath underwater for over 3 minutes straight, there's a very decent bet your spleen is secretly acting as a supercharged internal oxygen tank.
So let's take a step back and really look at what we've built here. Behold, Keith, the ultimate human. He has double the natural muscle mass and strength. His skeleton is virtually indestructible, allowing him to lift massive weight without any structural failure. If you try to outsmart him, his genius Klotho intellect is firing on all cylinders. You can't drown him because of his internal oxygen tanks. And between the FAH and red hair mutations, he literally can't feel pain and heals almost instantly. He is an indestructible, fabulous biological marvel.
But all of this begs the ultimate statistical question. If there's no genetic engineering allowed, just pure random biological luck, what are the actual odds of a human being born natively carrying all 6 of these superpowers? Well, crunching the exact percentages of each gene we just discussed, the math reveals this staggeringly massive number: 100 quadrillion. You would need exactly 100 quadrillion people to be born by pure random chance to yield just one single person carrying all 6 superpowers naturally.
To put that staggering number into perspective, compare it to the total number of human beings who have ever existed in all of Earth's history, which is roughly 117 billion people. So, we are biologically short by about 99 quadrillion, 999 trillion, and some change. Mathematically speaking, the ultimate superhuman should absolutely not exist yet, which leaves us with this final, crazy thought. While Keith might be a statistical impossibility for now, every single one of those building blocks is incredibly real, and they are scattered throughout the human population today. The human superpower blueprint exists in our DNA right now. So, is the ultimate superhuman just an impossible mathematical dream for the distant future, or, against all odds, are they already out there, hiding right among us? Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.